we'll go into the National Virtual Career Expo platform. But first, where are we? Where are we? Where are you guys as current students or recently graduated students who are about to enter the labor market? So Keelan and I were just talking about this off camera. I mean, we're looking at some 2021 data. We just use the tech industry as an example because we know that some of you might be pursuing careers in technology. So there was a boom like in private equity money going towards financing the growth of some of these companies. And this has led to recently, meaning last year and the year prior, like a boom in certain types of professions in major cities in Canada as related to technology. The labor market is robust, it's tight. Very, very recently, some people in technology might have lost their roles. I think we've all read about that in the media. We also, of course, acknowledge, and we're speaking to some people in the chat function have mentioned supply chain. Some people whom are at in Oshawa majoring in supply chain. That has been really robust, hasn't it? It's become important in recent years. It's also something I was doing for the previous year for, as Keelan mentioned, an apparel company, structuring the supply chain between Canada, the United States, and overseas. So we just wanted to take a look at where we're at. It's always a war for talent out there, and employers are looking for skilled talent like you guys or new students whom are ready to enter the workforce. About us, like Shaw Kwan, who's been servicing skilled workers, whether they're pre-existing, persons who have lived in Canada for a long time, might be international students that are new to Canada, or we also are welcoming to future Canadians, those that have their PR status, but they're overseas, or they might soon be able to move to Canada because they're a skilled worker. And then someone like myself, and of course Shaw and other persons that go at G-Tac, we're a partner to our employers, and as Keelan mentioned, also para-public agencies across Canada. Excuse me, because there are up and coming. I shouldn't say up and coming. Places like the Maritimes and Moncton have always been around, but it seems like the last 10 years they have a robust tech ecosystem, for example, in Fredericton, or there might be some federal government support to support employers in Sudbury, Thunder Bay. So, Canada is a diverse, broad place, and G-Tac, we're connecting employer partners with the talent pipeline, whether it's students like you guys, or whether it's a mid-career professional that just landed in Oshawa or in Toronto as a skilled worker and is ready to enter the labor market. How we do that, our services, there might be some overlap with services like Devant, which is great. We have a diverse array of webinars that we do bi-weekly. A focus sometimes on certain subsectors. Sometimes it's a meet the employer, because it's basically a mini recruiting or hiring session that an employer is hosting. It might be sector oriented, such as like discovering the healthcare industry needs in Quebec or in New Brunswick. We're obviously national in scope. I keep referencing diverse geographies, even though we might have a sort of Ontario heavy webinar this evening. I'm not sure. Continuing on, we also have specific training and bridging programs that we offer, whether it depends on what your profession would be and what your goals are, of course. Lastly, what we're sort of talking about tonight is an example of, employment connections, but in a digital space, such as the National Virtual Career Expo, the private recruiting sessions that we do for some of our employer partners, or online resources, job boards that are not anything new, but that, Devant has its own connections, G-Tac has connections. So, you guys have to think about different channels, right? You have to be smart, and you have to network and engage the resources of different service providers, which is what you guys are doing. So once again, this is just a good visual slide. I mean, we've been doing this for years. We actually have Canada's largest talent attraction event in a digital space. By largest, I mean in terms of registrants. We had actually almost 20,000 registrants during the height of COVID. For a 2-day event, it's pretty massive. There are some pretty big booths out there. And the bottom left quadrant here, we're just referencing the scope of Canada and how, theoretically, you guys upon graduation should be open to migrating or emigrating to Alberta. Why not? If the job's there, If the job's in BC, if the job's in Alberta, or if you're in Oshawa and the job's in Ottawa, for example. So I'm just, we do partner with economic development agencies across Canada, not only employer partners, but we have serviced more than 400 employer partners over the past 10, 15 years. And this is just a categorical look at the webinars. I already mentioned this, so I'll go through it quickly. Meet the employer, discover Canada's geographically focused. You guys are landed, you're all in Canada. But if you were in New Delhi, or if you're in Beijing, that might be more pertinent to you as a future international student or future skilled worker who's about to land in Canada. And labor market information by sector. Let's carry on though. That slide, whoops, I pressed the back button by accident. So about you guys, where are you guys at? You guys are soon to be graduating, or you're in the midst of your studies. You do not have, you may have a lack of a Canadian experience, not because you're not a Canadian citizen, but because of your tenure. The demographic of this audience right now at this moment, this evening, you might not have 10 plus years worth of experience. You might not have labor market information. You might lack an employer network. I did not expect someone to call myself. Sorry, that's so unprofessional. I'll just throw my cell phone away off camera. Sorry about that. So what we do at G-Tac is help you connect with a professional network, because basically the network that myself and Shaw and the team has been building up, we transfer those connections, those labor market connections, to you guys, which is what Devant also does with their connections with their employers and their partners. What to expect from VCE 13: labor market information, jobs, networking, and we'll get into strategies for success. And then I'll actually stop sharing the PowerPoint, and we can take a look at navigating the platform. It's a 2-day event. You can register. Once again, we'll actually go to the site. We'll show you how to register. But let's go into strategies for success. So, there's going to be jobs that are relevant to you. There's going to be jobs that are not relevant to you. We would suggest the day of the event or the day before the event to search the job postings, find jobs that are relevant to you based on your goals, based on your area or future area of expertise. Then, the job listings would convey to you the companies that, of course, are conveying those jobs, and you might want to do a bit of research about that company. And step number 3, engage the company. This is a screenshot of the main expo hall. So by engaging the company, once again, I'll soon stop sharing the slide and we'll actually just go into the platform, but you should probably, in my opinion, actually apply to the job first. At the beginning of myself speaking this evening, I actually mentioned data. I mentioned, we're talking about strategies for success in a digital talent attraction event, whether it's the G-Tac National Virtual Career Expo or other digital events. One thing, an advantage of these types of events compared to other, traditional job fairs is the tech, is the data. So therefore, going to strategy and the jobs, right? Finding the jobs that are relevant to you before, most people want to talk to a recruiter, right? I think I'm a good fit for that job. Can I give you my resume? Do you want to have a quick chat? I would actually apply to the job first. Apply to the job first and then go to the recruiter and tell them that I believe I'm good for that that level 1 technical support job. I've actually already applied to it, and I'm just telling you that, and I have some questions about the role. I'm saying this because when you apply on our platform, another platform, the platform is going to capture the data, and a good partner like G-Tac, we're going to post-event give the data to, for example, Fortinet, right? Fortinet's a cybersecurity company. We can only give Fortinet your resume, your data as a job seeker, theoretically, if you've applied to jobs there. So once again, going back to strategies for success, I'd research jobs and apply to jobs, and we'll get a bit more into flow of strategy. We just wanted to show you, of course, you guys know what a job fair is. You may have engaged a digital job fair. In this 2-day event, we actually have an event within an event. So there's lots to keep you engaged. We have 2 days worth of live broadcasts that occur concurrently while the expo is on. The first day is called Discover Canada. This sometimes does speak more so to landed international students or landed newcomers more so than someone who's lived in Ontario their whole life, for example. But you never know. Maybe you want to know more about the labor market in Calgary, economic development Calgary. We'll be conveying their subject matter experts about the region. Of course, you can go and engage, learn more, ask questions. So once again, 2 days worth of live channels. The first day is Discover Canada. It's focused on exploring the labor market in different regions of Canada. The second day are service providers that might focus on a certain subsector, such as the healthcare industry in New Brunswick here, the New Brunswick Association of Nursing Homes. The BCCA is a program that supports anyone in the construction industry. That can be a diverse range of talent, though. It could be project managers, engineers, civil engineers. It could even be financial professionals, accountants, bookkeepers. So anyways, there's just a range of partners who convey different resources that support you in your career, hence the name Career Corner. If some of you are, someone in the chat function said they're getting into business analysis, business analyst, if you might think about getting into accounting, you could join the CPA BC or CPA Ontario if they're presenting this spring, this April 4th and 5th. Let's talk about preparation before you log in. I did mention to that simple stuff. Just make sure you're well lit. I have this lamp like 2 feet in front of my face, just so you guys can see me. So in case someone wanted to interview you guys on the spot in the National Virtual Career Expo, your microphone's working, you've done your tech check, and you look good, and you have your Zoom shirt on. You can customize your resume. You can have 2 versions of resume. Maybe you're bilingual. Maybe you speak English and French. Maybe you want to have 2 resumes because you want to apply to roles in Quebec or Northern New Brunswick where they speak French. Or maybe you have a generalist resume, and maybe you have a specific, resume that leans you towards being a web developer or something like that. I'm not sure, because you might have diverse experience. So you have your resumes on hand and you upload them, right? You upload your resume when you register for the event. Digital elevator pitch doesn't necessarily have to mean orally, can be written, right? You could craft in advance the day before. Hi, my name's Susan. I'm a 3rd year supply chain and logistics student at Durham College in Oshawa. I'm looking to further develop my career in logistics, international trade, and supply chain. I'm currently taking the CPIM certification outside of my studies, and I also happen to speak Mandarin, you could have that ready, because instead of typing something from scratch, you could be smart, and you could sort of have something to copy and paste when you engage recruiters in your booth, for example. And you might have some questions, once again, think about 3 key questions to ask. And it says close on a positive. I want to go back to that. Number 10, close on a positive. I mean, you might want to have a call to action. I mentioned, so in a chat function, you can give a recruiter your resume. Even though you've already applied for the job on the platform in the booth, you want to ask the recruiter, hey, can I give you my resume? Even though I've applied to the job in the system, I'm really interested and I want to give you my resume as well. Will you accept it, please? So have your resume ready to give to a recruiter. And what not to say. Right? Ask questions about the role. Employers are going to hire on skill set or on education, on certifications. I think you guys know that. You're all smart people. So, I mean, don't try to screen up from money. Some of these questions, I'm from out of country, I want a job. It's not relevant to today's audience. So I don't really need to go over that. But I think, once again, you guys are all smart. Ask smart questions, or don't ask questions. If you don't have good questions to ask relevant to either the job that you're interested in, it doesn't have to be about, you could ask also questions about the company. Do you support a hybrid work model? Because I don't have a car and I see that your place of employment is in Bowmanville and I live in Toronto, but I'll commute 2 days a week. That's a fair question. So ask questions about the role, about the company that are intelligent, about workplace policies, and you can ask questions that reflect on yourself. I'm not fluently bilingual, but I moved away from Quebec when I was 12. My French is decent. Do you think it's okay to apply? That's a fair question to ask. That's the registration domain, but so now I want to stop sharing because I want to show you guys a little bit more about the platform. So Shaw, can you see the screen or no? I need to share again, right? Just getting the hang of Zoom. I prefer Teams. So can everyone see the screen now, Shaw? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay, you're muted, but I saw your mouth move. So this is the landing page.
Yep.
We just wanted to show you the landing page, and I'm just looking at my time. It's 7:25. So I'm gonna walk through some elements of the platform in the next 10 minutes, and then you guys are gonna ask questions of myself, of Shaw, and maybe of Keelan. Okay, so I have the Zoom toolbar obscuring my view. Oh, there, it moves. Good, good. So there's some tabs at the top here. I mentioned the jobs tab. First of all, by the way, the G-Tac team, we're going to flip the website about 3 to 5 days before the event, right? We're still getting partners on board. Some are on board, but we're still building the event for you guys. So at the moment, we're conveying some fall 2022 data and partners. So once again, we will be updating the content in the coming 2 weeks. But of course, this is relevant. It's relevant for this evening and for learning and preparing for success. So there's the jobs tab where you could peruse all the jobs that are available to you, that will be available in the expo by company and by city, right? And then you could convey your target list. The next step you could do is you could go to the recruiters available live tab, because you went to the jobs tab first and you saw that. Shaw, can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Shaw. So the recruiters available live tab, we spend a lot of time building this because they're not going to be available for the whole 2 days. Maybe they're busy. So some of them might just do a half day, like who? Well, the City of Ottawa's workforce attraction team, they were just doing a half day. So once again, we spent time trying to know when the representatives are going to be in their booth, so that if you theoretically want to engage them in person, we've built that out for you, where you can go and you can see when so-and-so is going to be in their booth. So once again, we're talking about strategy in this meeting. We're helping you with strategy by showing you in advance what jobs are going to be available and when recruiters are going to be in their respective booths. We're sector agnostic. Okay, so we're sector agnostic. We want to support a diverse array of talent and a diverse array of employment partners and a diverse array of non-employment partners, such as the government agencies or such as the training institutions like a Humber College or a Durham College. ICTC is a sector council, right? They're a tech sector council. We've had a agricultural sector council. So we have a good diverse array of partners from different sectors. And the economic development agencies and provincial agencies, they have job resources to convey too. So like an Invest Ottawa or an Economic Development Calgary or Ignite Fredericton, they're not an end employer, as you guys understand, but their job is to find talent to service their employers. So they still will have employment resources in their booth. I just wanted to mention that. Ironically, talking about the para-public partners, that comes into the 2 days worth of live channels, the Discover Canada live webinar, and on the second day, the Career Forum live channel. So you can see what interests you and what doesn't. There's a lot to engage, and we're supported by many of Canada's premiers, and we had Prime Minister Trudeau give us a welcoming message. The height of COVID, it was pretty cool. So now you guys, you got to register. You click on register, and this is where you give information that's relevant to the employers. So it's pretty important. You want to state whether you're willing to relocate in Canada, yes or no. You want to identify, we give you the blank slate to identify what you want your preferred job title, like supply chain associate, for example. Or you can select from a drop down where you believe you fit in. And once again, I've talked about data, we've talked about strategies for success, because when you're giving your resume, when you're giving maybe if you so choose multiple versions of your resume, when you're taking the time to identify your preferred job title or your educational background, your professional background, all this data is available to the recruiters. So that's something that you guys can't see. But the G-Tac team, we're supporting the employers with finding supply chain managers or finding XYZ. So the more accurate you are, the more accurate we can support you in your career development through the accuracy of the data submission that you submit. So you register, you'll get an email from us with your login, and then you log in. So I've logged in now, and we have a lobby here, and we have these tabs at the top. Sorry, not the top. It's showing as an admin. I've logged in as an admin because I am an admin. So the Your Applicants tab isn't going to be relevant to you guys, but a starting point for you guys, you could either just click and go into the main hall, right? This is the expo. This is the National Virtual Career Expo. You can explore partners alphabetically on the left-hand side, or you can say, you know what, IBM, I want to go click onto IBM and I want to see what's going on at IBM. And what would be going on is the description of IBM. They might have a video library and job vacancies. You can peruse the jobs. And then if you click on view details, I don't know if you can see it because I'm share screening. We're share screening on Zoom. So you might not be able to see the pop-up, but the job description has popped up of that job. Can you see that, Shaw, or no?
I can see it, but I cannot read it. Well, then again, I'm not 18 anymore, so my eyesight is not what it used to be. Yeah.
Okay, conceptually, you guys see that the job description pops up and then it says apply for this job. We've built it so that when you click apply for this job, it routes you to the IBM talent management system, because we want the employer to get your application. They will get it because that's how we build it, but also we capture it on our end too. So there's double layer, there's like a double data layer there. So don't be thrown off that sometimes you get routed to the careers page of the employer. We've actually designed it that way, and maybe they've stated it that way because they want it on their talent bank, and we will follow up with them post event as to the applications to that exact job. For example, the employer partners might have links to LinkedIn or their careers page or somewhere offsite. Personally, I question linking offsite when you're in a live event. Why would you go to LinkedIn? You can go to LinkedIn anytime, right? And so this is where you may start. You may, right? Because you might have had your plan. You might have gone to the jobs tab. You might have created a list of jobs that you feel you're a good fit for, and the employers that have conveyed those jobs. And then you're going to go to the main floor of the expo and go to the Canadian National Railway booth and apply for that job, and then engage the recruiter. Say you've applied to the job, give them your resume, ask questions. Or you might not be so organized and you might go to public chat. So public chat is where some people start their journey when they're not sure. It's not only about not being sure, it's fun. It's, that's where a lot of the recruiters are going to be fighting for your attention. So a recruiter from, MetaV Health Services, she might say, hey, we're looking for a junior accountant to work in a hospital in Fredericton, come here. And so a lot of it's a mixture of talent and it's a mixture of recruiters. So Shaw, it's a one-way messaging system. The recruiters can post and direct traffic and convey what's going on in the booths. Right?
Yep, correct.
Correct. Yeah, I just wanted to double check that. So that's for you guys to go and see what's going on at what booth, because the representatives are in there trying to engage you guys. If I were to click on, okay, I just wanted to show you, I've clicked on CPA BC booth representative Jing Zhang. Let's envision that I'm chatting here with her or him. This arrow here, you can send a file. So I believe this is the icon. I haven't, excuse me, I need a bit of a refresher myself about the chat box, but there is ability to share and transfer files. We talked about transferring resume if you so choose to do so. Where is that?
Well, no, Jay, because this is not a live, it's not live yet, so a lot of functions are not available now.
Okay.
When it flips to live, then it will become available.
Makes sense. So anyways, you guys get the point. There's a public chat room. And then of course there's a private chat room, right? Because each booth has their own chat room, right? Every single exhibitor has their own chat room, but the public chat is a good place to see where what employers are trying to convey to you guys. The live channel tab, excuse me, if you guys wanted to watch the career forum session, like if you specifically wanted to watch the CPA BC session, or you wanted to watch London, Ontario, like representatives from the city of London, Ontario, this is where you would go. And as Shaw said, we're not live now. So if I click here, it's not going to route me anywhere. But if this was the expo, you just click there and it would bring you to like a Zoom, basically. You'd be joining a Zoom. And it's pretty cool. It goes on for 2 days straight. So that's basically the bones of the platform. We've talked about strategy. We've talked about preparing. We've talked about preparing your resume. You can have one version of your resume, of course, that's quite normal. You might have two because you have, a strategic focus for some goal that you have, or you might be bilingual. You might have resumes in both languages. As my colleague Shaw mentioned, we're looking at the fall here, but this is what it's going to look like. You can scroll from left to right to explore employer booths. When you click on the Royal Bank of Canada booth, it takes you to the booth and you can go to the jobs and apply to the jobs. You can click on chat time and see when they're going to actually be in their booth. See, they're only in their booth on half of the first day last fall. So once again, when I go back to the on the main page on the publicly available website, the recruiters available live tab is important. I'd look at that the night before. But I've been talking a lot. So Shaw, is there anything that you would like to convey before we open it up to the Q&A?
Yes, I definitely do. Two things I want to convey. One is if you think that, oh, I'm only a student, they're looking for people with experience, they're looking for possibly mid to senior level. No, that's a big mistake. Do not assume that, okay? Always register, and there are employers looking for people like you. So by all means, register and talk to recruiter. If nothing else, at least you expand your network. Get to know the recruiter, connect with them on LinkedIn, then you continue to expand your network. So do not think that, oh, I'm only a student, this is not for me. No, this is definitely for you. Number two, earlier we have mentioned what not to say, because I know that some of you are like possibly international students. I'm not sure if there are any here. And then you're looking, hopefully after graduation, find a job, get your open work permit, find a job, and then later apply for various nomination program to find and then settle here in Canada. So that's all fine as well. So just make sure that when you do chat to recruiter, do not mention about that part. Just talk about what you can do, what is the company looking for, and then when it gets to that point, if a company that really likes you, they will be able to help you with the hire you, and then later on you can do your sponsor you. So do not worry too much about that part. Okay, so those are the two things I like to add. I also want to apologize ahead of time, is I have to leave in a few minutes. So and I'm going to leave the Q&A to the capable hand of Jay. And so if you have any questions for Jay or myself, by all means, please ask them now, because I have done this for Jay mentioned earlier, is I've been doing this since 2011 now for 12 years. Plus I have over 30 years of experience. So definitely, if you guys have any questions, by all means ask now, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Anything and everything to do with looking for a job from your perspective, okay? I also did lecturing before with the business school, school of business at Carleton University as well. So I certainly understand some of the from the student's perspective in terms of what worries you and what would it take for you to land a job here in today's tough environment. Okay, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, well said. So feel free to ask questions about preparing for the National Virtual Career Expo, but anything related to employment. Let's have an open conversation. But Sean made a good point about networking with recruiters, because what goals would you have for something like this if you're going to spend time on something like this? I would have goals of applying to, for example, 10 jobs, maybe 20. I mean, depends what you do. It depends what your academic expertise is. But he secondly said, he reminded you and us, it's good opportunity to start building your professional network, especially when you guys are less tenured, your professional network is small. So my point is every recruiter that you talk to in a booth, you could post event or even that day. I mean, why not do it that day? Go onto LinkedIn and connect with them. Say, hi, I chatted with you at the G-Tac National Virtual Career Expo. I'd love to add you to my professional network. That would be a good goal. Good point, Shaw, that this can be a springboard for post-event networking, right? So that was a very good point, Shaw. Now, Liana has a question. Will there only be very large organizations? So it leans towards medium to large. However, we may have some smaller organizations, and Shaw can speak up, but yes. Liana, sometimes the smaller organizations, they don't have enough open roles to theoretically want to engage a large talent pool or a geographically diverse talent pool. They might not be willing to, right? They might want to recruit in their city only or their town. Whereas Canadian National Railway, who is on board this spring, they have over 300 roles across Canada.
Yes.
Or the Royal Bank that Shaw Kwan works with, they'll sometimes split their time and have recruiters from Ottawa join, and then Toronto, and then like BC, maybe the East Coast. So Liana, that's a tough question to ask. However, smaller organizations from smaller parts of Canada will be represented, but indirectly they might be represented by those economic development agencies like the City of London, Ontario, some agencies that support Sudbury or Thunder Bay, Northern Ontario. We used to have a partnership with Durham Regional Municipality, where some of you guys are this evening. So they would be conveying local jobs or labor market resources for Durham region or for a specific region in New Brunswick through a resource, through a jobs board, just like Devant has maybe a jobs board. So they might be indirectly supporting the smaller employers, Liana, rather than a smaller employer directly participating. Although we have had smaller employers in manufacturing. Go ahead, Shaw.
Yes. Okay. So this is going to be my last question before I sign off. Is Liana, further to what Jay is saying, is also larger organization. Usually, larger organizations, they have new grad hiring program or co-op program or student hiring program, or medium or large size. So you do want to talk to these larger corporate, like CN. They do have a fresh grad program where if you actually are going to graduate, this is actually the perfect platform for you to talk to the recruiters there. Okay. Tangerine also have a fresh grad program as well as RBC. So large organizations is actually good in some cases for students. Of course, to better answer your question is, yes, we don't only have large, we have actually a mixture of small, medium, and large. Okay, just so anyway, Deanna, anyway, I want to thank all of you, Keelan and Jay, and all of you listening. I want to thank you all for your attention. Unfortunately, I really got to go, so I'm gonna leave you guys with Jay and Keelan. So if you guys have any issues, any questions, by all means, look me up on LinkedIn and connect with me, Shaw Kwan. Okay, and then connect with me, and we'll connect, and I'll be happy to answer any questions regarding employment. And because certainly our experience, we have done this, I don't know how many times, thousands of times, helping, especially with students as well, people like you that's listening right now. So by all means, welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. So have a nice evening, everyone, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks so much, Shaw. All right.
Thank you, Shaw.
Jay, we've got another question in the chat from Matthew. What is the number one mistake you see students make when job searching, and how would you correct it?
Well, that's off the top of my head, because I'm really on the hot seat. I mean, perhaps as a number one mistake a student might make in job searching is that they want to get one specific role only. You know, they really have, you may have your heart set, Matthew, on a specific job or even a specific employer. And and perhaps either for a few reasons, for literally entering the labor market, you might want to be more flexible as to the type of role or type of employer. But secondly, I mean, for someone who's a bit older than you, Matthew, it's interesting where your career can take you in terms of role or sector. And yes, your first job or second job, you know, yeah, we hope it's related to your major and your program of study. But once again, someone a few years ahead of you, hopefully you will, and it's true, right? The data states that now, that, you know, by mid-30s, people have had like 7 different jobs. It's right. It's not like our parents' generation where they worked for like 2 employers for over like 40 years. You know, that's done. So Matthew, I think you should be yes, have an open mind and maybe not say, okay, I have to get a, like your friends here that were studying supply chain management, they might get a specific role at an automotive company in Oshawa that's, you know, a buyer or supply chain role. That would be awesome. But who knows, maybe if someone offers you a biz dev or a sales role within the same, you know, employer, that, you know, why not take that and enter the workforce and enter that organization, and then you can make a lateral move to the role that you want, Matthew. Like if you wanted, that person wanted to make the lateral, you know, wanted that supply chain role, maybe they should just get into the org first. And, you know, it's so much easier to get a role also as an internal hire. Actually, some companies have policies where they must look at internal hires first, and then they look at the public second. So anyways, I could go on and on, but I think that's a great question. The question you sort of put me on the spot, but you know, and not and have a sense of agency though. So what I mean is that with people on this call, you have a major and you have a strategy, and you are smart enough, you are flexible when you enter the workforce, and it might not be a slam dunk as to what you wanted to do, but hey, you're still, you know, entering the workforce. Nothing is stopping you from still, you know, identifying that you will be in that role that you want to be, and you have control of that in your self-study, in your spare time. Or you may do, I believe you guys are full-time students, but you may do continuing education study. I left a big company last year. I was talking about supply chain with some of you in chat. I'm actually almost finishing a professional development certification in supply chain as well, just like you guys. I'm actually doing the same thing you guys are doing. I'm doing it from University of Waterloo, and I'm much older than you guys, you know. So I'm just saying that the power is in me, the power is in you to steer the boat as to where you want to be. So don't think that because you don't get a certain job after graduation, your dreams of being in supply chain or your dreams of being in a full stack developer are over. They're not. There's time, but there's also, you have the power to be better too, right? So what are some other questions? Or Keelan, is there anything that had sparked your mind when we were going through, not necessarily the digital talent attraction event, but if you had any insights to share, I welcome them. Or if anyone has other questions to share.
I think that was a great answer, Jay. I love your answer of getting the foot in the door, especially with like internal promotions or lateral movements within companies. That was great. I also really, really loved your suggestion earlier about kind of having your elevator pitch typed out beforehand, so you could just go ahead and copy and paste it into the chat. To go back to Matthew's question, with one of the number one mistakes that people see when job searching, I'm gonna expand on it a little bit if that's okay, Matthew. And I would say the number one mistake that I see with job seekers attending career fairs is they go and it's like they're not even there at all. Like they don't talk to anybody, they don't reach out to anybody, they don't try to interact with recruiters, they don't go to any booths. You have to make yourself noticed. You have to have that elevator pitch that Jay was talking about. Have it ready to copy and paste, to be open to introducing yourself. It goes a long way, and that way afterwards you can reach out on LinkedIn, you can send them an email, you can say, hey, I attended the career fair, I came to your booth, I was the one who asked you this question. Like, make yourself memorable in any way that you can, so then when you follow up later, they remember who you are, they bring you in for an interview. Oh, we've got another question. Two questions, amazing. Jay, I'll give the first one to you. On average, how many companies can a participant expect to reach out to at the job fair? And I guess this one's kind of a follow-up. How much time do you recommend spending at each recruiter at each booth during the fair?
Well, that's a good question. So, I mean, how many companies can you expect to reach out to? I guess it would relate to how many roles are relevant to you, though, right? So right. So I don't know, Leanna, what your goal is or your major of study is, but well, some companies may not be relevant to you, right? Like, I don't know. So it's tough for me to answer that question, how many companies. So, as Shaw and Keelan mentioned, or Keelan and I were talking before the seminar this evening, like and you guys know, you all read the news, and like some tech companies in the States and even Toronto, like they've let people go. So on our end, we're seeing a hiring freeze for some technology companies, and I know like IBM isn't even joining the expo this spring because they're not hiring anyone. However, as Shaw mentioned, the big companies like an IBM or a Tangerine or an RBC, and as Keelan mentioned, they do support co-op and student internships programs. They have the money to do that. So I'd keep your eyes open. But Leanna, how many companies can a participant expect to reach out to? I don't know. I mean, it's just stuff for me to say. I mean, you could quickly go to a booth. You could go to 10 booths in an hour, but does that mean you're gonna speak to someone when you want to? Maybe not, though. Right? Because if it's a big name like a CN or an IBM, maybe there's 250 people in their booth trying to talk to their two recruiters. So Leanna, you won't be able to talk to them even though you're in the booth, which is why earlier in this session we talked about strategies for success. I'm going to close this questions tab. I'd actually go to the jobs tab, Leanna, and I'd try and see what jobs are relevant to me. Once again, this is the fall data, but let's pretend it's not. Leanna, I'd find the jobs that I think are relevant to me, and then I'd create a list of the companies that have those jobs. And then, the answer to your question, Leanna, the number of companies that you want to engage are the numbers that are on the list that you just made. And then I would be going to the expo hall and talking to those companies. And what was the follow-up to that question, Keelan?
How much time would you recommend spending per recruiter or per booth?
Good question. And Matthew sort of touched upon this too, the concept of setting and managing expectations in a digital event. So, one drawback of a digital event is like you can't corner the person in the room or like be in front of the booth and like, just grab their attention, because so the pros are that, Leanna, you could and be smart and be data oriented and apply to every single job. And you're going to ensure in a digital way that you've applied to that job. And G-Tac and Devant, I guarantee you on the back end, we're going to be giving that your application to that partner as well. There's going to be a double layer of data. It's going to be like 100% every job you apply to, like that's going to be like double submitted. But how much like face time or engagement can be harder to control. Once again, if it's a very robust booth, I think I would prepare for that elevator pitch that Keelan mentioned. hi, my name's Leanna. I'm studying such and such during college. I just applied for these 2 roles. I'm interested in this one the most because this is my major. And by the way, is it okay if I give you my resume here in the chat function, even though I already applied? And number 2, can I add you on LinkedIn? I'd love to connect another time. I think that would take you a minute or 2, and then I'd move on to the next one. And and maybe you do that for 8 booths, and then you're done. And that's what you did. It took you half a day, 3-4 hours after class, or the first morning, and then maybe that's your plan. So it's 7:54. If there's a final question from someone, send it in the chat, or otherwise before Keelan wraps it up, I'll just go back to the deck because Keelan's gonna take it over anyways. But if you want to register for the event, there's the domain gtacexpo.com. You could register tomorrow, or you could register a few days before. And yeah, setting and managing expectations. It's just good. This is the way things are going to go. You guys are going to be doing more digital events, whether it's the G-Tac National Virtual Career Expo or another one. So I hope you learned about some strategies for success. Remember the concept of like getting your data captured, having your resume ready, maybe having 2 versions of resume ready, having your elevator pitch, having strategy with your elevator pitch and having it written out, because you can copy and paste, to be honest. And have that call to action with the recruiter, ask for to give them your resume. And as Shaw said, build your network. I didn't even think about that. It's a good reminder. You could ask every recruiter, can I connect you on LinkedIn? And you're building your network. You're not only thinking your expectation is that you're going to get an interview post-event, right? Maybe you're building your network, and this should be a medium-term career development plan. So thank you for your time, and reach out to us with any questions, but I'll let Keelan convey some final thoughts on behalf of Devant.
Thanks so much, Jay. I will pull up the slides for the final few minutes. We've still got about 4 minutes, so if there is any lingering questions, make sure you put them in the chat now so we get a chance to answer them. But back to Devant, I just wanted to let you know about some of our upcoming events. So if you would like to keep learning with us, next Tuesday, we have another webinar panel with some experts about tax tips for international students in Canada. Tax season is coming up. Some of you might be filing your taxes in Canada for the very first time this year. So this is definitely an event I would attend. I was born and raised in Canada, and I still have questions about taxes. So I would definitely recommend attending this one. On April 5th, we have an expert panel of careers in the supply chain. A couple people mentioned supply chain in the chat, so that might be a good one. Monthly, we have a career cafe, which is basically just a fun networking social cafe. There's no slide deck or anything. There's no lecture. We just come and we chat. You have the opportunity to ask some questions to Devant's career coaches, as well as meet some other newcomers to Canada who are job searching. And then on April 26th, we have a live immigration Q&A with a Canadian immigration lawyer. So lots of good free events coming up for Devant if you are interested. Just want to pitch one more time Devant's resume writing service. Because we have this amazing G-Tac career fair coming up, we have reduced the fee for attendees tonight to $79 instead of the regular $159. So if you have an outdated resume and you want to make sure when you come to the career fair you are putting your best foot forward and the best resume forward, we can help you with that for that $79 fee. For those of you who have attended this event tonight, I'm going to post that in the chat right now. Again, you can pick a career coach from Devant, and we will draft the best resume to showcase your experiences at this career fair. Jay made some excellent suggestions about having maybe multiple resumes depending on the job that you're targeting, or if you're bilingual, having a resume in different languages. That's definitely something that we can help you with. So you can have multiple resumes for the roles that you plan to apply to. And then, of course, I have to pitch myself. If you would like to meet more one-on-one with me and ask me some one-on-one questions, again, special promo for tonight's attendees. We have a $95 per hour session where you can meet with me or any of Devant's other 5 career coaches. We have 6 total of them. You can ask any question you'd like about resume, job search, the job fair coming up, LinkedIn, anything that you would like. So I have posted that in the chat as well. You can just go to devant.ca/services and check out what we can offer. Final minute, Jay. I will pass it over to you to sign off.
Well, Well, thank you very much. I'm just looking at Leanna. Sorry, she has a question. This last one. Leanna, up to you. I mean, you could still test the waters and explore the platform, even though you might not be employment ready. I mean, why not? Or why not? Your strategy could be just focusing on those career internships and co-op programs. I don't know how many will be conveyed, to be honest, with IBM not on board. That's just an example, but the financial houses will. And I don't know your major, but why not have that type of short-term strategy? Anyways, final words was thank you very much for your time, everyone. It's such a pleasure connecting with Keelan and everyone here, Leanna, Matthew, and everyone else who's in supply chain or whatever else you're studying. And we thank you for your time. I wish you career success and academic success. And remember that sense of agency. You know, there's going to be ups and downs in your career, but you know, you guys hold the power to your future. And sometimes you lose your job, or sometimes you don't get the job you want. But if you guys are doing the right thing by pursuing your major and your careers, and you can continue doing that and should continue doing that in the coming years. So I hope that's encouraging, and I wish everyone a good evening and a good spring and a good end to the academic semester as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Keelan.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you, everybody, for your great questions. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for attending.
Bye, guys.